Welcome to the You Hear Big Girls podcast. My name is Luna.
And I'm Momtaku. This month we're excited to have Attack on Mom Life as our guest. She's been reporting on SNK events and merchandise for the last year in Japan. And on a personal note, I was excited to spend a day with her in Tokyo last October. So now I'm excited to have her as our guest. We can't have two moms on this podcast, so I don't know, should we call you Attack on Mom Life, or what can we refer to you as in this podcast?
You can call me Coffee because on what is this thing called? Discord. On Discord, I think that's what a lot of people go by. I'm so excited to be here. I love your podcast and I look forward to it every month. This month I'm kind of sad because I'm in it, so I know it's going to happen. So it's okay.
Well, we're very excited to have you on because we've also listened to some of your Disney podcasts, so you always sound so excited, and I hope it rubs off on us.
And also, I think I met you through the podcast, and you were invaluable in helping us get set up since you had that previous podcast experience. So you're partially why this podcast is off the ground and running. So thank you for that.
Oh, no, wait, you guys had already started. So no, don't thank me. You were already doing
it. We'll fight it out later. So chapter 116, what did you guys think?
I'm an Eren fan, right? So anytime Eren shows up in the comic, I'm happy.
And he actually said words. Like he said things, and it wasn't just glaring.
Eren's very scary right now. He's a very scary person. He's a little crazy, maybe. I worry about his sanity. But he talked. And he talked quite a bit, and we maybe saw some cracks again. Every once in a while, we've been seeing like little cracks in the facade, which is always kind of interesting. So I was pleased with it. I was really happy to see Pieck actually too, because she's been kind of mysterious. We don't know a lot about her, and we found out quite a bit this chapter, like both with what she said and how she acted.
True. And I agree with you on Eren and him being scary. I think the scary part, because in the past he was like this little angry boy, but it was just like this overwhelming emotion he couldn't stop, and now it's like this rational anger that I personally find much more concerning to look at. So, but yeah, you're right. We know we saw some cracks this chapter, that there's a little bit more to him than just the wrath bubbling underneath. And indeed, we got some backstory on Pieck, but I'm still kind of like in doubt if she was being truthful about that as well, or if that was part of the lie she was telling.
What specifically, Luna?
The backstory with her father. Was that just to get Eren to kind of trust her a little bit, or was that just, or is it real?
I mean, you always mix a little bit of truth with lies. I don't see why she would lie about that. And when we saw her father in the chapter, what was it? Was it Midnight Train or the one after that? I mean, maybe she embellished it, but it makes sense to me that her motivation would be to get him health care. I mean, people in my country similarly sell their souls to take care of things like that. So it seemed like a pretty realistic story to me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a very specific lie to tell if it is a lie,
Yeah, and Gabby was there. I think Gabby would be familiar with Pieck's backstory and her family life. So she probably was honest about that.
So this chapter was exactly what I want. Well, not exactly. I had hoped for a continuation of Eren and Pieck's story. And of course we got that. I was also hoping for, I think like everyone, some insight into what Eren is actually thinking, which we did not get. And I'm at the point now where I feel like we're probably not going to get that. I honestly think at this point, whatever Eren is going to do, he's going to do, and we're going to be left to determine if it was all worth it. I think Isayama might keep it vague. We may never get what we're hoping for when it comes to understanding why and what the specifics of Eren's mindset. And I hate to think that, because that would feel very unsatisfying for me. But I don't see how he's going to introduce it at this point. But I do agree that we saw the cracks again this month, and we asked the question in the poll about Eren's feelings for Falco, because that's the scene people have been pointing to show that he did look sad. So we asked that of the fandom, and 75% said that they do think that that was evidence of his care about Falco.
You see, I think we are going to find out his perspective, and I think it's going to be pretty soon because my gut feeling is that this fight, whatever's going to happen, he is going to lose hard. And I think that's when the facade will crack and we'll get a little bit more insight.
What would Eren losing look like to you? I mean, they can't kill him. He's the protagonist. So to you, what would a loss be? Would it be the death of someone he cares about or what?
I I made okay, so my theory, I was talking to my husband. My husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" I told him he's gonna get kidnapped again. I don't know, but I think he is gonna lose in some way. Either he's gonna somehow get beat down, and his friends are gonna have to rescue him, or maybe he will get kidnapped. We don't know.
I'm gonna die if Marley kidnaps.
If it's Eren kidnapping 6.0, I will die as well. Like, how many times can we recycle that storyline?
We're now at the headquarters, right? Of like the Jaegerists.
In Shiganshina.
Like everyone is gathered there. The prisoners are gathered there. Like Vlog and the others are still like trying. Like Vlog is with Zeke, and the other ones, the Jaegerists that were with him, are chasing Hanji and Levi. For all we know at this point. But everyone else is located at the headquarters, I think.
My guess is that Zeke and Flock, they're not going to waste their time chasing Hanji and Levi at this point. Levi's injured.
No.
He's not a threat to them.
They're going to Eren.
Yes, they're going to... And Zeke doesn't care about Hanji and Levi at this point. Zeke hopefully has some pants on and is, they've got horses. They're on their way to Shiganshina, and they'll be there soon. That this Zeke showing up is going to happen in the next chapter or two.
I agree. I think Vlog and Zeke are heading towards Eren, but I don't think they will arrive in time. And I think maybe Marley will bomb like the crap out of headquarters, and I don't know. I don't think everyone who's in there will survive.
No, I was thinking about that as well. You've got the 104th, the Browse family, and Niccolo imprisoned underneath a Titan battle. That's not a good place to be.
Falco and Nile are there as well. I'm not sure if Pixis is there, but I think so, probably.
I also think Eren is going to suffer. I think the contrast, that was what was so interesting to me this month, the contrast between Pieck saying the words that Eren used to say, I trust my friends,
My comrades, yeah.
Yes, that was Eren 1.0. That was Eren of pre-time skip. And now to hear Pieck parroting those words, and also the fact that it's a callback to Liberia, the airships, and it's just that this situation has changed. Eren is literally all alone on the center of that parapet or that rooftop, and he can't triumph this time, but I just don't know what a failure is going to look like for somebody with 3 Titan powers.
I mean, I cannot imagine the 104th being on his side this time. Not that they will necessarily cooperate with Marley already. I don't think that's going to happen just yet, but I don't think they would necessarily help him out in this case. So,
well, we asked that in the poll.
Oh.
I was shocked. Okay, let me scroll down to that response. So in the poll we asked, who among the SC, if any, do you think will eventually choose to side with Eren? Now this isn't specific to this battle, but 56% believe Armin will join him. 55% think Jean will join him. On the other end of the scale, only 17% think that Connie, 20% Hanji Levi. So the majority of the fandom at this point think that Armin and Jean will eventually join Eren's side, which I'm having a hard time believing. Mika says the close one. She's at 49% right now.
I can see it. I can see John and Armin joining. Maybe Armin. Armin, we don't know yet, right? But John is he's been kind of like very collected and kind of like thinking things through. So he's unsure because he's kind of like in our position. He doesn't know all the facts. He doesn't know, is Eren doing, what side is he really on? He's kind of like thinking it out. So I think if he is on their side, he'll join him. It's a big if though, right? And Armin, we're going to talk about this later probably, but he figured something out when he was listening to Yelena. We don't know what he figured out. We don't know which way he's going with what he figured out, but he figured something out, and it made him like cry hard, right?
Did he cry or laugh? Maybe you can help enlighten us on this, because I've heard 3 things. I've heard that One is that he sounded like Bertold, which, like, he was using language Bertold used. I've heard he was crying, and I've heard he was laughing. But I think the takeaway from all of those is that his behavior was bizarre. Is that what you've gathered too?
Yeah, and you could see the other characters looking at him like, what are you doing, Armin?
Yeah.
But if he was laughing, he has snot coming out of his nose.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible acting if he was laughing.
And we know for a fact that Armin is not the best actor. We remember when was it chapter 77? Where he's on the rooftop with Bertold and he tries telling the lie again about Annie. And, Bert saw right through it. Armin has tried acting in the past. He's cosplayed Historia a couple of times. He, it's not his forte to be pulling off some grand charade. I actually do really like the theory that Armin recognized that there's no way Eren is going along with that plan. Like, he may not know much about Eren at this point, but he knows who Eren is at his core, and euthanizing his entire race is not Eren Yeager.
No, I agree. I don't think that's Eren's final plan. I think Armin and Jean are a bit closer to figuring out what's going on inside of Eren's head, and they may be coming from a place of more understanding soon when they meet him again. That said, however, I don't think that they will side with him because of that. I think the decision to not side with him will be harder because of it.
Okay, hear me on this. If Jean had heard and seen Eren in that moment with Armin and Mikasa, would he be feeling the same way? I mean, he has the luxury of not having been in that room.
Yeah.
Not hearing Eren tell Mikasa he hated her, not telling Armin that he was being controlled. I mean, I think if any of them had been in that room, maybe that's why they're not. Maybe plot bunnies need Jean to, be on the fence here. Or maybe Jean, as always, is kind of our voice in all of this, like you were saying, Coffee. But I wonder if at any point he'll find out what happened in that room.
I think even if he finds out, not seeing it, I think is the big, like, would change his mind. If he saw it, I think it's very possible he would think differently. But since he didn't see it, even if he hears it, he's hearing it without having been present in the situation. So he's still able to, like, think through it very logically, right? When you are there, like the characters that are there, it's so emotionally hard hitting for them, right? Because they were so close that I think it's too much for them to think through it logically at that time, and maybe even a little after. Maybe now Armin's realized something, or maybe he thinks that Eren has seriously lost it, and he's like, "That's it, we lost him completely." That could be the other reason why he's crying, right? So we don't know yet.
Yeah. We did ask that in the poll, why was Armin crying? And the number one answer at this point is that he realized Eren would never agree with what Yelena said and was still on their side. That's 65%. I think that's a little optimistic. And I do think when people take the polls, they're taking them with their hearts and with their wishful thinking.
Absolutely. I voted for that, but I feel like it could be a different situation.
We need insight. I'm tired of being in the dark.
That's the thing. We're all in the dark, and it's very painful right now.
Puppet made a really good comment. I think it was last podcast where he said that with basically all the mysteries of the world revealed. I mean, I remember for 37 chapters, I wondered who the Beast Titan was. 86 chapters waiting for that basement. All those mysteries are kind of in the open now. We know who Marley is. The only thing Isayama can hold over our head to keep us anxiously waiting the next chapter is character mysteries, what they're thinking. And that's why he's playing those cards so close to his chest and keeping us in the dark, because that's what keeps us coming back. What is Eren thinking?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And I agree. Yeah.
Well, it's both too, because we still don't know about this girl Ymir, right? Like, when we look at the storybook, which one is Ymir? Is it the kind of Titan looking thing? Is it the other girl? Which one is Krista? We don't know that yet either. But he's kind of like, Isayama's kind of like a magician. He likes to focus us somewhere else, and now we're so focused on these character mysteries that there's other stuff going on in the background that he's kind of like pushing us away from. So I think there is still story mystery as well.
Well, why don't we jump into the story mystery that this chapter introduced, which was Eren's statement about that woman and the fandom in Japan too? Coffee, it's also the topic. Who Eren meant when he said, I don't trust that woman, or just like that woman?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So in the Japanese, he says it's the thing is it's so vague. I feel so bad for the translators when things like this happen, because unless you consult with the author, you don't know for sure. And even the Japanese fans are kind of on the fence about this. And the way I read it the first time, and my Japanese is not great, was I saw it as him referring to Pieck, right? Because so basically, he doesn't trust the person, and he goes, and the way I read it was, and that person doesn't trust me, right? It's vice versa.
I talked about this with Momtaku yesterday, and like with logic and like looking at the grammar that or like the words used in Japanese, if we could deduct what was really meant.
You can't.
Because Yelena refers to Pieck as this woman, so it would be really weird for Eren to then refer to Pieck as that woman, in my opinion.
Right. And I asked my husband, my husband's a native speaker,
Yeah.
and he said looking at the story panels, he would think that it's referring to Pieck, but looking at the language, it could go either way. He could be referring to another woman. And I think if he's making it vague like that on purpose, it's most likely referring to someone.
To someone. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's the same as that other woman. Like, she also doesn't trust Pieck. Doesn't really make any sense because he only found out about Pieck just, a couple of minutes or I don't know how long ago. And he didn't really have the time to speak to anyone else, I think, about her.
So we asked in the poll, who is the other woman that Eren is saying he doesn't trust? And 30% at this point are saying Yelena, 23% Kiyomi, 20% I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be important. So 20% of the fandom has no idea, but Isayama didn't accidentally do that. That was deliberate.
Yeah, and I don't think it's Yelena, because why would he say that in front of her?
Well, somebody suggested to me that he's throwing shade at her.
I think he would have phrased it differently then. Like, he would say, well, just like another woman I know or something. Like, I think he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about someone specifically, and he was okay with disclosing that information to Yelena. Like, I think she knows who we referring to.
That's what it seems like that she would know, right? And also I think that throwing shade idea works a lot better in English than would in Japanese in this scene.
It's surprising to me that most people picked Yelena in this
Yeah,
question.
30%. And then 23% Kiyomi, which I think is also a fair guess. Eren does know Kiyomi, and he also knows the port is south of Shiganshina. She's there in the port in her boat apparently, and we've all kind of suspected. Well, we haven't suspected. We've debated whether or not she's authentically what she appears to be, or if there's more to the story. Since Kiyomi is one of Zeke's pawns, he might be referring to her. I mean, she's there to watch the rumbling in Shiganshina, right? That's why Kiyomi is sticking around.
My money is on Kiyomi.
Is it?
But yeah, we'll have to wait and find out, I guess.
Because how many women are there that he could be referring to, right? I think you're right. I think it's probably Kiyomi.
Lady Tiber is like funny. Like, it's I still think of all those comics of like people saying he's controlled by all the people he has eaten, all the shifters that are now controlling his mind.
Okay, so you guys, here's a really, really out there idea. Do you think, and this could be maybe why we haven't had any focus on this, do you think he could be referring to Historia?
See,
Ooh.
I wanted to say that.
Why didn't I add that as an option? I should have added all the female characters. Oh man, that would make the fandom go nuts because I don't know what percentage. In fact, I meant to ask it this month and didn't. What percentage of people think that Historia is on Eren's side and vice versa?
Yeah, because a lot of people assume that she's on his side or they're on each other's side. Maybe they're not.
It's interesting. I still wonder how many people think Eren is the baby daddy and therefore think that they're on each other's side. Because it would be far more interesting if Historia is part of a bigger plan, but she's actually trying to screw over Zeke, and therefore also Eren.
I'll tell you what, I do think there's going to be a huge reveal and a huge mystery surrounding Historia. I mean, we learned about her fate in, I think it was 107, right? So it's been 9 chapters.
It's been a while, yeah.
Luna, look at me doing math. 9 months. 9 months, which can't be an accident. And we're basically getting the same panel over and over and over. And my friend Emmy referred to it as, that feeling when your favorite character becomes a piece of furniture. I mean, she's clearly fused with the chair at this point. But when Isayama does this, it's for a reason. I mean, the last time we had the flashback over and over and over was Marcel being eaten. And of course, the big surprise of that was that it was Ymir. That's how Ymir got her life back. And so now we're having Historia in the chair over and over and over. And there's a lot of possibilities I'm dreading and a lot of possibilities I'm excited about. It's just interesting whether or not, I think we need to ask that soon about whether or not people think Historia is on Eren's side or not.
Is she even alive at this point? Is she still breathing? She just looks like a doll super glued to a rocking chair.
She is a piece of furniture now. That's all she is 9 months later.
It's been 9 months. Like, the baby should be ready to come out. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Shingeki time is magic, though. It's been 3 days? Well, it's been a month. A month since they got back.
Liberio, right? Maybe a little over a month by now, but yeah. Sometimes I really dislike this being a monthly manga.
I have disliked this being a monthly manga for 5 years. I've equated it to like eating dinner through an eyedropper. It's just like you're hungry and you want food. And for 5 years, I have endured this slow drip feed of a story that I just want to sit down and read. I'm just so tired of this. I'm so done. But here I am 5 years later, waiting month to month.
So you've been following them month to month for 5 years.
More than 5 years.
That is insane to me.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. It is absolutely insane.
I feel bad for the people who've almost been following this for 10 years. Can you imagine?
No. I've been following since the end of season 2. And it is so hard.
Painful? Horrible?
It's so painful each month.
Excruciating?
And when I started, I think Eren hadn't been in the manga for like months. And I'm like, where is he?
That was me the past couple of months. Where is Reiner?
That's right, Reiner. He's back.
Finally.
Oh,
yeah, but I remember when the 104th and especially Eren were missing for all those months during the Marley arc, and everyone was complaining, and I was like, no, I'm so happy. Reiner's getting more focus. And now it's the other way around, and I feel really bad for making fun of everyone who was so upset. Because I'm like complaining just as much and just as unhappy that we didn't get to see the warriors for so long.
Well, my guy has been dead since chapter 84, and I'm here to tell you that it doesn't. I keep thinking
because you don't shut up about him.
Well, listen,
you're like a broken record when it comes to Erwin.
Listen, you think here's my words of wisdom. You guys both have characters that you care about that are still alive, which is nice. There's a special agony to that. I keep thinking this story will get easier. Like, Isayama has hurt me already. He's done his absolute worst. He took the person that I cared about most. And somehow that should make it easier every month. I should care less because my guy's not there and Isayama can't hurt me anymore. And I'm here to tell you that's all lies, absolute lies. Like it still hurts just as much every single month. He still manages to suck me into everything. And darn it if he didn't replace Erwin with Reiner now. And now it's like, I'm in so much pain over Reiner. I want Reiner to be okay. And I know he can't be. So I'm going to go through it all again. I'm going to go through all that pain again. And I am just so mad at myself for ever picking up this manga. But here we are.
Coffee, what do you think the end will be for Eren?
I don't know. It might not be good. I hope. I don't know. I'm too hopeful. I'm hoping there'll be some happiness for the people who are left. I know that's not going to happen. It's probably gonna be horrifying and terrible, but you know what? I love horror, so I'm kind of not too unokay with that.
I think it's going to be bittersweet. It can't be a negative ending. There has to be a glimmer of hope. But I do really think we'll be debating Eren Yeager, just trying to understand him and was it worth it?
I think post time skip he became far more interesting
Yeah.
because it was at first it was the plot moving him along, and now he is like the force behind the plot. He's has some agency over what happens. He is making the decisions, or every decision revolves around him. So he's become far more interesting as a protagonist.
Coffee, I have a question for you. You love Eren. You've loved Eren from the beginning.
Yes.
Do you still recognize Eren? Or like has Isayama to me it's like there's two different characters. There's pre-time skip Eren, there's post-time skip. And aside from them looking similar, I don't see any commonalities. Like I struggle very hard to see that boy, that emotional boy who loved. I struggle finding him. Is it as an Eren fan, do you still see Eren there? Has he managed to like warp and transform the character but still make him feel the same to you or no?
I've been rereading the chapters, and the Eren right now is even very different from the Eren in Liberia, right?
Yes.
Hobo Eren versus man bun Eren. Yeah.
But Eren has always been like a little scary, and you see that with Mikasa and her headache flashbacks. That cabin scene, that's not normal, you know.
9-year-olds typically don't shout profanities and bludgeon men to death.
Yeah, there's something, and I will eventually, I'm sure, get an explanation for it. But he's never been like that, maybe mentally stable. Like he has moments where he acts like a normal kid or teenager later, but there's also this instability there, which is kind of like very strange. And I think we'll probably get an explanation for it.
I do think you're right. We have three Erens. We have Kid Eren, we have Hobo Eren, and Man Bun Eren. So they do, to you, feel like sort of three different people?
Like, and people change as they age, but I think the same person that lately it seems like a different, but it's also maybe a facade, so we don't know what the Eren right now, if it is a facade, what he's really like, we don't know. But I think that the connection is still there all the way through. It's just that we're in the dark about so much right now, so maybe that Eren that has he cares about his friends, and he has compassion for his friends, he's still there, but he's throwing up a facade. Maybe, I think.
Are you one of those people that think he's being controlled by something, by one of his Titan powers, or else something else?
I don't think so, but it's so everything Isayama does is so uncertain, so it's very unclear. So maybe, but I feel like that's not the case. What do you guys think?
I feel like, I mean, obviously you get a mother load of horrific memories dumped into your brain. They change you as a person, but I am one of those people that believes Eren always has agency. I think that's been his character. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
he is in control. Absolutely. He may be being misled on points, but he's not being controlled by anything except his own will.
And I think he can be affected by the memories that he's received, but I think, like you said, that he is in control of his actions. Because remember, he was in jail for a month in solitary, like a normal person in solitary. It kind of makes you like that's why it's a torture for a reason. It's considered torture, right? So I think someone in solitary for a month with just these memories, right? It's not good for your mental health on top of whatever he's going through, right?
No, no. And I wonder how much of a part the Lady Tiber's memories and, all her predecessors' memories played a part in that.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, I agree. Like he's in control. And if he's not, I would be very disappointed. Because I do find him interesting the way he's going about things. So if there was like this greater power or this other person controlling him, I
They make
think it would
it
take away from
manipulate.
that. But I
Yeah.
do believe maybe that like he is part of a plan, a greater plan that's been set in motion like years ago, maybe millennia ago.
Hmm.
But he's still, maybe he realizes he's part of that, maybe he doesn't. But I think he still has his own will and can decide whichever way he wants to go.
Yeah.
I think that's the big mystery now, is whether what we saw with Ymir Fritz and Pads, whether that has a conscience, a conscious, if there's an intelligence behind what's happening there, or whether or not there's someone pulling the strings cosmically, or if Ymir Fritz is just sort of an entity, maybe not even one with a conscious, why can't I say that, consciousness about her. I do look forward to that mystery. That's
Absolutely. That's like the big mystery, right? Like what is going on with that?
To you, 2,000 years from now, that's the big one. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think my favorite thing about Isayama is he's not afraid of being patient, and to keep the what we thought was the big mystery a mystery for 86 chapters, but the real mystery, what does it mean to you 2,000 years from now? Who is that girl in chapter 1? Yeah, we're at 116 chapters now, and I imagine that one will go through the end.
That will be the end, I believe. It will come full circle, and
Hmm.
then we can all decide whether we love it or hate it. If it will become like Lost 2.0 or like the greatest thing we've ever read.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's discuss some specifics about the chapter now. Looking back at chapter 116, the first thing we got was what the fandom had wanted most, that conversation between Eren and Pieck. And one thing I've been surprised by is disappointment that Pieck did not join Eren. A lot of people were expecting that they would join forces here. And I know last night in Andrew Allstar's Discord server, there was this raging debate of people who think that Pieck was foolish not to join him, and another group shouting back equally enthusiastically, why would she? He destroyed her hometown. What about you guys? Were you disappointed? What were you expecting? Did you think that Pieck was going to join Eren?
No, but I think I also read the spoilers already, so I knew it wasn't going to happen. So that's the downside of spoilers. I wish I would have gotten the whole chapter at once, because then maybe would I have bought it? No, no, no. She sold out Zeke first chance she got, and she's smart. She knows what's going on and what needs to happen. I don't think I would have bought it. No, I can't imagine. She's. I think she knows how to play people very well, and she's quite intelligent. And I think Eren was kind of feeling her out. Like he knew she wasn't to be trusted, but he was like, well, maybe I can find the other like warriors or anyone else from Marley who's hiding here if I kind of go along with her.
Did any part of you think that this encounter would end with the warriors and Eren siding together?
No. No.
It just seems incredibly unlikely. I agree. Why no, it doesn't work. And then she talks about her dad in the flashback, right? Her dad was there. Her dad was there when Eren attacked that area. We don't know if he's alive or not. He could have died in the attack. We don't know that information. So she has no reason to join up with him. The warriors at this point don't have a reason to join up with him. There could be some circumstances that come up that change that in the future, but at this point I don't see it happening yet, if it's going to happen.
I think the debate going on is that Eren is fighting for the freedom of the Eldians, and Pieck, who's supposedly the smart, always correct Pieck, is choosing to side with a government that has oppressed her. And that the warriors know now, they are very clear with the fact that their days are numbered as war machines. And here's their options, right? They have the option of staying with a government that has oppressed them, or they have the option of joining this group of revolutionaries trying to restore Eldia. And it's pretty clear that they're sticking with the status quo. Or I don't see it as the status quo, because I see Magath as somebody who wants change.
Right.
I think that's the debate going on in the fandom right now.
Well, like, look at it this way too. If the status quo is something that they can maybe work with or work to change, and they understand it, but Eren's side or Eren's faction is very chaotic, and there's no understanding there at all right now, right? So it still, even though I know that yes, maybe they might wipe out the Eldians in the future, at this point, it's still, like you said, a might. Magath, like you said, is maybe a little bit more forward thinking. We don't know yet the future, and she doesn't know the future, but she does think things through, and I think it's probably they're both enemies to her at this point. It's better to go with the enemy you understand versus the enemy you don't
Because we as readers are privy to more information, right? Like
know. Right.
Pieck, for all she's concerned, like Paradis is trying to preserve themselves by killing everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't see it as like, oh, we're uniting all Eldians. It's no. There's the Eldians inside of Paradis and the Eldians outside of Paradis, and the ones outside are also their enemies. Or, well, Paradis' enemies, as far as she's concerned. So why would she side with Eren when he just killed everyone?
And he's also behaving very erratically. He's like, like, yeah, we're going up. I mean, I would not side with him if I were her. He's kind of he's very how do you say it? Like, he's very like out of control right now, right? From her perspective, or in our perspective.
I do think the bulk of the fandom agrees with us. In the poll, when we asked about, has your opinion on the following characters changed? Pieck's favorability rating has shot through the roof. So most people are at least sympathetic to her, whether or not they think she's making the right decision. So it is hard though. Like I find myself, I don't want to side with Marley. Marley, there's no defending what Marley did to the Eldians. They're
Right.
a horrible and corrupt regime. It's, I can't be like, woo, go Marley, because Marley sucks. But I can't go, yay, go Jaegerists either, because they really suck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a horrible situation. And I really found Pieck's attitude refreshing. She's not going to side with either government. She's going to go with the people she trusts. And the people she trusts are in those blimps right now. So, and it reminded me of the camaraderie that her Panzer crew had for her. I mean, she was their hero. And, Pieck just is the kind of person I think that takes people as they are and trusts and judges them as individuals. And that seems to fit what we know about her and how that Panzer crew reacted to her in the one where they were briefly imprisoned. Would that have been 100 maybe? I'm not sure. But it just fits. It fits Pieck as a character. And I like her so much now. I'm one of those who she's my kind of girl,
I agree, and like you said, her relationship with the Panzer unit, and then for me, I also put on the poll that my liking of her increased because that scene of her on the rooftop with Gabby, that like
Oh
wordless
my
scene,
God.
it was like so it was so touching. Gabby has been in a state of terror. She doesn't know what to think, and then her like reassuring her, holding her hand, and giving her that glance, like, look, it's gonna be okay, like, hang in there. That really, it was very touching, I felt.
I love that panel where she smiled at Gabby. I did. And then, like, she did the boss bitch move where she turned around and pointed at Eren. It's like, you are the enemy. I love that. Oh
It
my
was
God. She's amazing. I love, like, Pieck went up in my book for this whole chapter. She was amazing.
She really was. So what about the other woman in the story, Yelena?
I personally am liking her less and less because, like, there's so much crazy. She cannot hold it in. She can't contain it. It's always just oozing out of her, just how insane she is. It's like, oh, Eren and Zeke are these gods, and their name will be remembered for like eons to come. I'm like, oh my God, tone it down a little, girl. Tone it down. And then she just starts shooting people in the head because why not?
I do not trust her at all. It's, the thing is, they say her motivation is that Zeke showed up and he saved her, right? But how do you go from that to like her level of like just mania towards the Jaeger brothers. There again, I feel like there's information missing because she is really intense, and I don't think there's any reason for her to be that intense. So I feel like we're missing some information, and I do not trust her one bit. I feel like we are seeing something, the surface, and under the surface, there's more.
I really liked how I was on again on Andrew Allstar's web server, Discord server, and Humble, one of the regulars there, was talking about the whole cult leader, cult following. That I
Mhm.
mean, Zeke is a cult figure, and Yelena is a cult follower, and I hadn't put it quite in those terms mentally, so I did some Google searching and was like reading about cult mindsets, and she absolutely like if I'm sure that's what Isayama has modeled her on, just that complete level of delusion, worship. I mean, the way that she enforces things. I mean, everything is very much kind of like classic cult going on.
I wonder if she's from some sort of tribe or people that, she was indoctrinated as a child that someday their savior would come and, there was like a picture and he looked like Zeke or something.
That would make a lot more sense to me, to be honest.
There must be something why she, like at first glance she was like, "Oh my god, this amazing god."
Yeah, like if culturally she was raised to believe in a savior or a messiah
Mhm.
of some sort. It was interesting in the poll when we asked about character opinions changing. Yelena, for the most part, is unchanged. I mean, there was nothing about this interaction, just completely blowing the brains off of Gruyere. Uh, Nothing about that swayed people either way. There was a faction of people, I think 300, who view her more favorably, 300 that view her less favorably, but the vast majority are unchanged. The same is true of Onyonkapon as well, which that surprises me. Let's talk about Onyonkapon for a minute. What
Yes.
did you guys think? Were you in the poll? We asked, has your opinion on him changed? 703 of the 1,200 respondents so far are unchanged. They're absolutely the second contingency 400 less favorable, but again, I thought for sure his favorability would fall through the floor at this point, and it didn't.
No, well, because if you look at the chapter, right, when they're again in that scene, it's I feel like he might still be on their side because there's a moment where there's this kind of like dot dot dot, and Yelena's looking at him, and then he replies, "Oh, you guys should just do what you're supposed to do. I've been following you around and all this stuff." I feel like he was saying that as like a cover, maybe.
Yeah,
What do you?
it could very well be. So I feel like it's still uncertain where he stands, but like he couldn't come out and say like, "Oh no, I'm on your side," when Yelena is standing next to him all trigger happy, right? That doesn't really work.
Right.
So he had to lie either way.
Well, that would explain why people are unchanged at this point. I think maybe they're just as confused now as they were forever about. I think people want to like Anyon Capon. They want
Yeah.
him to be Team Survey Corps, but at this point, they're just waiting. It's still wait and see. Very much wait and see with him. So while I think the fandom is confused about Anyon Capon, I felt really bad for Connie this month because this is like the next big betrayal, and Connie's one of those people who, you know, he's billed as being somebody who's not the brightest, but emotionally he's kind of the most connected. So, him screaming at Anyon Kapan is just like, could this guy's day get any worse?
I feel so bad for Connie, and also if we look at the poll results, like most people haven't changed their opinion on him, but like also a large part has said that they think of him more unfavorably, and I'm kind of surprised about that because like Connie has the biggest emotional intelligence, as she's always said. Like he stops Jean from asking Mikasa what happened between her and Eren to prevent her from getting hurt even more, and he also, he says things like they are, and he calls Eren out on what he's done and how what he's done is not very nice, to put it mildly. So I'm not sure if people are upset that he called Eren out or if there's something else going on. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you're right about maybe it's because he called Aaron out. But look at it. Look at from Connie's point of view. Okay, we're the readers. We have all this information. Connie, his family was basically murdered
Hmm.
by Aaron's brother, right? Now Aaron's acting like a psycho, right? Lost Sasha. You know, the people around him have been poisoned with spinal fluid wine. And this other guy is like has betrayed them too. He thought they were friends, so he is having a hellish time, even more so than the other characters. I would say he's lost so much so recently.
Now, contrast that with Jean. Jean's favorability shot through the roof this chapter. 1,000 of our 1,200 respondents, over 1,000 named him best boy this chapter.
Yeah.
Like John is so clear-headed here. He's kind of like the male Zeke at this point, right? He's very clear-headed. He's like, let me find out this information. Let me question. Let me like pull out this information. He's thinking about things logically. He's not thinking about it like with passion. So I think that's maybe why, no?
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, I don't think that people really care for the euthanasia plan. So the fact that he's poking holes in it means
Yeah,
that
because the plan makes no sense.
Even if they continue, okay, so this chapter was great because Jean asked the question I did. How is this sustainable and how do we keep everyone from trouncing us? And Yelena now has informed us that they do need to carry on 2 Titan powers into the future. My question now is, who's to say that those 2 Titan powers won't just undo what Zeke and Eren did? Like, that's still now the hole in this that I'm seeing. So Historia's baby and whoever Eren passes his power to, who's to say they just don't undo it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing I'm thinking is, do we have another royal baby after Historia's baby? That's like, we have another 26 years of a founding Titan, a Titan with royal blood, and then what happens after those 26 years?
It just makes no sense. None of this euthanasia plan makes sense. None of it. Because if they can't have babies, yeah, you're right. So we get 13 years with Historia, 13 years with a kid. What happens then if they can't have children?
Yeah, or do we like undo like the whole like scrambling of the eggs just for like the people with royal blood? I'm sure that would be possible, but still, I don't know. There's like so many holes in this plan that I'm like.
I really liked what you said a few podcasts ago about how they could keep transferring the powers to the elderly. But in Historia's case, it has to be someone with royal blood. It cannot be random person. It has to be royal blood, or else that Titan threat, they don't have any protection.
You need 2 people, right? It's the founding and the other one, the royal blood. So you need to keep 2 lines going.
Well, the founding Titan doesn't need to have royal blood. Needs to have someone of royal blood near.
Yeah.
Right. So Eren's Titan could just be passed on to elderly people for the next 100 years. There's nothing special that needs to happen there. There's no blood connection. Yeah. But Historia's, if she is the last royal and that line has to continue, then then everything falls apart.
Well, that's my point though. Is Zeke really concerned with them living like long, prosperous lives? No, right? No. He doesn't care. He's like, you can die. You can die now. You can die 80 years from now. I don't care. I just want all of you dead eventually.
Yeah.
How can Yelena not know this? Like, how can Yelena not see this gaping hole?
She does, I think. She's okay with it as well. She has to be. She's like, oh my God, whatever you say, Mr. Zeke-san, I love you so much.
Do you agree with her? And I don't. There's a panel, I don't know what page it is. She says, please believe me, our true purpose is nothing so meaningless like revenge on Marley. Anytime Yelena says, please believe me, because we know she's a liar, it's like, I'm not going to believe. All she cares about is revenge on Marley. I will die on that mountain. I will die on it. What do you think?
I'm not so certain. I'm in the middle. I really have no idea if she would mean that or not. That we've seen nothing that really makes me think she hates Marley or that she really wants to execute revenge on them. She doesn't seem that vengeful. She just seems really obsessed with Zeke. That's like her main motivation. I don't know if there's a lot else going on inside that brain of hers, but that's just my 2 cents.
98% Zeke and 2%
Eren, yeah.
Breathing and bodily functions, and yeah, maybe. What about you, Coffee?
I feel like kind of talking about the East Sea clan. I feel like they don't expect the Eldians to kind of like die off into old age because they just need the land and the resources there, right? So maybe there is no expectation, like you said, that they are going to live off into this old age and die peacefully.
So it's all a lie.
I think it's a lie. I think it is.
Maybe it's also like the reason they are having Historia like reproduce and have like an heir with royal blood for to accept another Titan is to kind of make the Eldians go along with the plan.
Yeah,
Like it's
because if
easier
not,
to make people go along if they have some hope that things will be okay somewhat. Because if the goal is total destruction and they would just let like the Marlians or the rest of the world just destroy Pleiades, I'm sure there would be far more resistance to it. It's somewhat of an easier way to massacre them all.
I really love Gene's panel where he says, "And you think you've covered every angle with that?" He's just like, I mean, he is so not convinced. And then of course Yelena's like,
Yeah.
guarantees, absolutes, they don't exist. We're doing the best we can. I love him so much, and he was such an amazing character this chapter, saying exactly. I mean, he is me. He is me in this chapter. Everything he says is me. I saw a meme on Tumblr, the scene where Nile is sitting across from Falco. It's like all these men wearing armbands, and here's this little 12-year-old kid. And everybody's like, what are you doing drinking the wine? Who's been dosing this kid?
Yeah, because it looks like he was like in the same jail as like the higher ups in the army.
He is.
And there's like this little 12-year-old boy from Marley who just stuck with them. Because why not?
I mean, does everyone in there know Falco's story, or are they all thinking that somebody like slipped this 12-year-old a glass of Chardonnay? I mean,
like, oh, your parents got arrested for child abuse, like feeding alcohol to a minor. I see.
I am so worried about Nile. I have a huge soft spot for Nile, which is not shared by many in the fandom. And the building crumbling and you know, them here, and the battle is coming, and I want everyone to live, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, Marie and the kids will be sad, but they'll get over it if they live.
Moving along, we have that great moment where Eren is leading Pieck to go point out the enemy, and Porco is in the crowd of soldiers.
Did you guys spot him while reading it for the first time?
No. Did you?
No.
Of course.
You did?
I was like, that's my boy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like, oh, it's Porco. Oh.
I love how this is the second time Pieck and Porco have had like this charade moment. I think about, well, he wasn't in on the first one where she sends a message to the Panzer unit and he's just like, huh? But this time he's actually like part of her planning, which is very cute to see.
I love the expression on his face. He was like,
Little sweat drop.
Yeah. She's like, please take care of me. She's such a troll. She's a sweet, I love her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I hate loving people because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
It is going to hurt.
I mean, I've made my peace. You know, I don't think that Reiner will live at the end, but I don't know. I feel like he's gotten a bit more. I would have felt really, really bad about it if he had died during the Marley arc. So I think I'll be more at peace with it by the end of the story.
So what do you guys think about Pieck using the conversation about Falco to kind of get information from Eren? What is she trying to assume?
I can't believe Eren answered that. Like, you idiot, no. I mean, I'm glad, but you idiot.
What information is she going for there? Is she trying to understand the combination of the...
They don't really know what's going on with Zeke, right? But they have suspicions. And I think they're strengthened after his defection. So she's trying to kind of confirm that he has the royal blood. And Eren is playing coy and like, no, I have no idea why.
And she keeps asking him, she keeps asking him, well, when are you going to use this power? When are you going to use the founding power? Are you going to do it now? And I think she knows. I think that he can't use it right now without Zeke for whatever reason.
That's the whole point, right? Yeah, because he has the founding Titan. They know that. So, and they know he can't use the powers.
But they still don't know Zeke is of royal blood and that royal blood is needed to activate the founding. That's the piece that Pieck is trying to squirrel out of Eren.
And I think she has a suspicion, but she doesn't know for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Help remind me, last chapter when Reiner and Bert were telling Zeke about what happened and about Eren and his father, but also about him fist bumping with Dina. Were they aware who Dina was or not? Just Zeke?
No, right?
I don't think so either.
I think Zeke put it together, but
Do you think Reiner has put it together as well?
I don't know.
I mean, he would have to know the story of Zeke's parents to put it together. So he knows Grisha was there, but he'd have to also have an idea of Zeke's mom being like a royal.
I can see that after the attack, maybe Magath would be a lot more open about maybe their family, about Zeke's family, and what had happened.
It looks to me like Zeke put it together on his own in his monologue. He figures he just puts the whole story together. Mom must have been a pure Titan who came into contact with Eren. So it wasn't anything Bert and Reiner said. It was Zeke's big brain putting it all together.
Right. And I don't think Reiner would have the information to put those pieces together, unless, like you said, Maga said something, which maybe he said something to Pieck about that, and maybe that's why she's trying to like suss out that information to confirm it.
Well, we know that there has to be some royal blood, or at least they have suspicions, and I think they know that it's not Grisha who is of royal blood.
Right.
So then they would have to trace it back to the mother. Maybe they would still have pictures of her somewhere, and they could be like, "Oh yeah, she kind of looks like that Titan that Eren touched."
Well, if the whole thing about this is trying to figure out that Zeke's ability is royal blood, then that makes Historia important to the warriors now, because she would be the antidote to that. So anything that brings Historia back in the story, if the warriors figure out that Historia is the only other person, that could be interesting.
I'm curious to see if they will make it to Historia's farm. That would be an interesting rendezvous.
Porco and Historia have to meet. They have to. There's no way the story ends without Porco and Historia meeting, right?
They have to.
It would be interesting because of the Emir connection, but do they have to meet?
Yes.
I hope they do.
Yes. Final answer.
I just want to see Reiner and Historia meet. Kind of see.
Oh God, me too.
That would be heartbreaking, I feel.
Oh my gosh, yes.
A lot of people are talking about Reiner and Armin's meeting being especially emotional as well. Reiner has to live because we have to get the emotional payoff
the reaction
from his character.
To Bertolt.
Yeah. And Armin's guilt as well. Armin already feels guilty about this.
We haven't seen any reaction from Reiner, right, to Bertolt?
None.
So
none.
Maybe Isayama is saving it for that reunion.
I do think Reiner and Levi are going to die, right? But I think there's so much emotional payoff that can happen before they do that we have to live to get that payoff, right? We have to get more with Emir and Historia. We have to get more with Bertolt, Armin, Reiner. We have to get more Reiner, Eren. I mean, all of that. There's just so much emotion there that needs to be exposed.
Also, Annie, when?
Annie, when?
I really thought they would go and, try to break out Annie first, but I don't think they have. Also, for the poll, who do you most hope to see next chapter? Where was Annie on that list?
Was Annie not on the list, or was she?
She wasn't.
Oops.
No.
See?
Because you're not on the poll anymore to prove things for us.
This is what you get.
You left. It's not like you were fired.
I'm sorry.
We forgot Annie.
You can write it in.
We did ask who else will join the fight, and Annie was on that list, and
she
26%. So we sort of included her.
How can
I think
you honestly thought more people would want to see Floch over Annie?
I don't know. I will. Okay. Wait, if I say this with appreciation, not to throw people under the bus. I was so not involved with this month's poll. Like, I proofed it, so it's my fault. And I added 2 questions, but Puppet, Reiko, and Heidi like did this whole thing. This I feel really bad because I didn't mean to shirk my duty, but they were just like on fire this month. I think this is a great poll this month. I'm really proud of it, even for getting Annie, but I get no credit for it. And conversely, I will take the blame because I was in charge of proofing. So missing Annie was all me. But I read a theory that I love. You know, the whole question is, how's Annie going to come out? Can Porco release her without killing her? Maybe. Can Eren release her with his ability to create crystals and dissolve them, that Warhammer Titan power? Maybe. Would Eren do it? No, because Eren doesn't need her. So how's Annie going to get out? And there's been theories now that coordinate power, that when Eren activates the coordinate power, that will wake her up. And I really like that theory.
Oh.
Like she accidentally comes out.
Yeah.
She's off building sandcastles with Emir right now in pads, right? She's in this kind of state of otherworldly consciousness, in this physical stasis, while mentally she's probably in limbo. But accidentally coming out, I would love that.
I'm just like, yeah, well, that's the thing. I can see her waking up. Would she be able to break out of the crystal on her own, though? Does she have those powers?
I mean, she made it, so I don't see why she can't unmake it.
Well, to me, it's not that obvious.
Well, okay, let's just say Eren can unleash the Wall Titans using that power. Who's to say that wouldn't unleash Annie as well?
Who knows?
It's my favorite theory right now, as far as how Annie rejoins.
I mean, she could like just shift into like the female Titan and maybe break the...
She has to wake up first. What I'm saying is, like, that accidental opening of that coordinate power in 51 sent that jolt through all the shifters that were there. So Eren and Zeke doing it again, and that just sort of sets off the chemistry inside of Annie to wake up and come out. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too.
I like that so much better because we're all, half the fandom is like, well, maybe Armin will touch her and let her out. And, maybe Eren, maybe Porco. Like, for it to be all accidental, just like, oops. I love it.
And I don't see Porco biting her out of the crystal. I mean, I don't see her coming out of that alive.
If he does that, yeah, exactly. If he does that, it's to give her power to somebody else. It's to turn her into a Titan shifter smoothie and pour her down someone else's throat. That's the only way Porco's getting her out.
Yeah, I like that idea.
The only one getting Annie out of that crystal is Annie. And the only way Annie's going to do it is if somebody pulls her out of Sandcastle Land and back into a present reality. And that would have to be the coordinate power.
Yes.
What do you think, Luna?
I don't know if she can come out on her own. And I still think Porco could be able to claw her out. Very gently, maybe. But yeah.
Gently? His little teeth just gnawing on it like a corn on the cob, trying to...
But he can also use his claws. That also works. So
okay.
Yeah, no, we saw him damage the crystal with his claws, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
But like, there's like 1,000,001 possibilities now. But she's coming out of that crystal, right? We're all in agreement on that. Like, she has to come out.
She has to.
And what will she do when she comes out?
Kick Armin, please.
Aww.
I don't know.
You're so mean.
I'm not mean, but he just creeps me out whenever he's with Annie, like alone, just like touching her while she's asleep. It gives me...
Because my heart belongs 76% to Reiner Braun, I want her to come out just so he feels less guilty. I think that would be a really, like, I think it would give him, like, incentive,
I want them to meet again. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I don't have any feelings of the two of them together, I don't think they even like each other. I just think it would go so far to absolving some of his guilt that he feels about everything. So,
yeah, I still like the cover of them as kids. The one with Armin and Mikasa and Eren. Yeah, that was a good one. And then I see some of the episodes again from season 1, and he was kind of mean to her, like really mean, considering.
But they went through so much together that they were close, Just like brothers and sisters, you fight and you yell at each other, but you love each other,
Oh, so much still to find out. Two left to be resolved. Oh, okay.
Okay, so poll question, you guys. Is this the final battle? Is what's happening
No,
now the final? No.
No.
no,
Is this the...
no way.
It could be. I mean, all the key players are there. Zeke's going to show up and that's it. Everybody's there, right? Except for Levi and Hanji.
I feel like there's more
There's more
coming.
plot points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we think this is going to be just be like a chapter or two battle? What do y'all think? Is this going to be like quick and easy? Something happens, Eren is kidnapped.
I don't know.
How many chapters was the Liberio battle?
101 was the exploding, was Eren coming out, and they were back on the airship by 105. Don't quote me on that, but...
Yeah, 105, I think, was the last chapter, like the Zeppelin one. Like they all flew off into the horizon.
But we look at other recent battles, like we all thought Levi and Zeke was going to be more than a chapter. It was one chapter.
Right.
I could see it happen, but it depends.
It depends who shows up, when they show up. It's so hard to say.
I think this is the final battle in the sense that this will keep... I don't know that there's going to be a final battle. Like, I think the final is Eren and Zeke uniting to do what they're going to do. Nobody able to stop them. And then Eren throwing the curve. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I agree. So I don't think that's going to happen in the next couple of chapters. I don't think Zeke will make it to Eren just yet.
This might be the final battle in the sense that it might be the last time we see the Titans fighting. I don't know. But just like the basement reveal wasn't... I don't want to say it wasn't anticlimactic. It wasn't what we were expecting. It was, oh, here's a book. I think that the Eren and Zeke joining together is probably going to be sort of that same sort of understated, significant but understated moment. And there's not going to be a lot of fireworks going on while it's happening. We're all just going to be like holding the edges of our seat wondering what's going to happen. I don't know. Just a theory.
No, he's very good at giving us the unexpected. I don't think it's going to be what we're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the reveal of Armin, of Reiner and Bertold. That was such a quiet moment. That was not in the way the anime put that together. Like all of these profound moments are never with explosions going on in the background. They're just these quiet. He's not afraid of just slowing the story down to like a standstill and letting our anxiety about nothing happening or, understated. I think it's going to be more understated than we're expecting. I think this could be the final battle if that's the case, in the sense that it's the last time we see, large scale destruction.
That's a really good point.
Unless the Titans come out, the Wall Titans, in which case that's the final battle.
Well, I can see them coming out, but would they be able to fight them if they come out and they move inwards?
Theoretically, they don't have to because Eren can control them.
Only when he's touching Zeke.
Right. Or Historia.
There's so much uncertainty still.
All right. So all that's left is you gushing about Reiner.
I've done enough. I don't.
Have we gushed enough about Reiner?
I mean, there is never enough, but
coming from the heavens.
So Luna, I think the heavens was referring to Reiner in all his beauty. Do you agree? Reiner is the heavens.
Reiner was the angel, like the coming down from the heavens. Mikael, with his sword of justice, striking down Lucifer, the fallen angel. I'm just saying.
What are you hoping for next chapter?
He needs to jump down and he needs to talk to Eren. I want like a proper conversation. I don't want him on the floor begging. I don't think he will be, but like I want some action and I want some conversation to happen between him and Eren. Those are my two main wishes for next chapter.
Coffee, do you have any theories on why Eren looked sad last time he and Reiner talked and said, I'll see you later, or whatever it was he said. Are you expecting any great Reiner Eren moments?
I think there has to be, right? There's so much unfinished, right? I think he was sad. I think he was sad. I don't think he wants to kill Reiner, but I think he's on whatever mission he is. I guess to end the curse, right? That's kind of been his goal, right? He doesn't want people to inherit the powers anymore, right? And whatever he has to do to achieve that, he's going to do. And maybe that's why he's sad about it. Maybe he will have to end up killing Reiner, or one of them will have to die at the other's hands, and that's why, maybe. But I think he was sad about it. It is. It's going to be. That's the comic, right? It's cruel and beautiful.
And totally up Isayama's alley. Oh.
Yeah.
The last page, though, with Reiner looking very calm and Eren looking furious, that's a real shift. We have this set up a lot where we have a character on the left, character on the right, and the battle's about to begin, and it's interesting to see Reiner being so confident. It's nice, but Eren just looks furious.
And I think that's why Eren's gonna lose, this battle.
Yeah, because he's not in control.
No, he's too full of himself. He's furious. No, there's no way.
I do like that one panel where you kind of see the shot of him like with his legs gnawed off, and then like still his shirt flying up and like showing off his abs. Like that just had to be in there this chapter, right? Like
that was my favorite panel.
Was totally necessary.
I'm hoping next chapter that the shirt will be gone. It'll be live.
Will Zeke have a shirt next chapter? We hope he has pants on.
I just want him to have underwear on. That's just like my bare minimum for him.
Where is he going to get clothes?
I don't know.
In the wilderness.
Like find a banana leaf or something. I don't know.
That would be amazing.
Guys, I am cringing. I don't even want to think about it. Oh.
He has to ride a horse, okay?
Well, this concludes our chapter discussion. Let's move on. Thank you for joining us for our 116. Yeah, he can't ride a horse naked.
No way.
I mean, he can, but like, can you imagine the rope burn?
I guess he would heal as he rides.
that would keep the smoke rising up, right? If he's constantly chafing. There you go. I do not need this image in my head.
So now that we've talked about our wishes for the next chapter, I think we've pretty much summed up everything that we needed to talk about as far as the manga is concerned. So we're going to take a really short break. And after the break, we'll be back with some news concerning Attack on Titan, but also some questions for our lovely guest, Coffee. See you after the break. Hey everyone, welcome back. We'll start with asking our guest Coffee about all the Attack on Titan Season 3 events she has attended in the past couple of weeks. The first one I want to talk about is the Area Q Cafe collaboration. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So, Momtaku has had experience with some of these cafes before, right?
Mm. Yes.
And they're not always super positive. The cafe itself was great. The design was wonderful. I loved the cherry blossom viewing theme, and the decorations were really fantastic. The food design was good, themed to the new season, the night before they leave, that kind of meal with the meat. And the goods were really great. I loved all the merchandise. The time was so rushed. Like, it felt like there was not time to do anything.
How did they make you leave? Like, what was the deal? Like, did they give you, how did you, I mean, in the United States, you get a table, you sit there as long as you want. Nobody's pushing you out the door. How?
Yeah, they were pretty much pushing you out the door. So what it is that you do get your table, you're allowed to go in at a certain time, and then you have to do things at a certain time. So once you get there, the thing that really I think made it so time constrictive was that you had to line up to order, and everybody lined up at the same time, which took forever. So then by the time you started to get things delivered to the table, and then having time to eat, but then also having time to, you had a little puzzle that you had to solve, and you had to find all the characters around the cafe and put all the little the letters together to make the message to get the free stickers. Your shopping time was at a certain time. You had a time limit for the last order for the meal, and you
Oh
could
my
not
God.
order. No, and you couldn't order everything at the same time. So you could order one main dish and 2 drinks at a time. And then you would have to finish that before you lined up again, but there was no time to finish it. And then there was also the gacha machine to get the little capsules with the pins, which was separate from the store. And then you had people running to get the change for that. And then people were doing that like as many times as they could. And the staff was rushing to refill it. And it was a fun idea, but it was such a time crunch, you know?
So how much time did you actually have to eat what you ordered?
I didn't finish anything, which is good because I want to die. I was like, I didn't finish the first dish, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go order something else anyway. And
I think that was the biggest shock for me when I was there, was I don't want to call the cafes disorganized, but how if you don't speak Japanese, those cafes are not friendly places for you. Like, you absolutely have to be with somebody who understands the language and understands the culture behind these cafes.
You do, and if you don't, it's almost undoable. And they did have like a sign in English explaining how to order, but that was it. So if you didn't know what was going on, you wouldn't know when they called your time to go get the merchandise. It would be kind of hard to do the puzzle. It's not very friendly for maybe tourists, right? And this cafe in particular was just like, so you had to be so organized. Like they give you 30 minutes early to go in, and I didn't take advantage of that, and I wish I had.
So that's like the biggest tip
Yes.
for anyone else going. Just come early. Yeah.
Get a translator and come early.
Don't worry about finishing the food too much, because that's the other thing, that they know that people want to order the food for the coasters, because there's always coasters, right? And you want to get the character that you want, and then there's time to trade with other people. So you're talking, it's like a communal table, so you're talking with the people at your table, and you're trading. You're like, oh, who's your favorite character? Who are you looking for? And there was very little time to do that. I managed to meet some really, really wonderful people, and some people behind us saw that I was an Eren fan, and they gifted me the coasters that they had. And it would have been so much more pleasant if there was more time to interact with the other people as well.
Now, I want to know about the demographic. What sort of people? I know what the experience was when I was there at Sweets Cafe. What is the demographic?
Mostly women.
I was curious what ages. They are mostly female, because I think that was the most shocking thing to me when I was in Japan. You mentioned to me that the demographic for Attack on Titan is female.
At least at the events that I've been to, yeah, it's you and you saw too. It's mostly female.
Yeah,
I would say like 20s until 40s, 50s, maybe. Like so like not so many teenagers, although there were some girls that looked a bit younger, but around that age, there were some moms there with their babies. There was older women. There were some younger women. So yeah, it's really interesting. I went to the Anime Japan event, and it was like a bit of a culture shock, because that was the first event that I went to where there was a lot of men, and the men as fans just seem more kind of neurotic and stressed out, and it was kind of uncomfortable, a little bit uncomfortable, because I'm so used to the events with women. So that was a bit of a shock for me.
Okay, you have to explain that.
Was this your first time going to Anime Japan?
It was, because I only watched this show.
So you've been in Japan for 11 years now, and this is the first time you've gotten caught up in an anime?
Yes.
How does this happen?
How does this happen? And the funny thing is that we know people in the industry. Like we know like a really famous director, Mr. Nagahama, who did Mushishi and Reflections. And we know some voice actors. We've met Maria Ise and Miss Doi, who does Daisy Duck's voice, and a bunch of other very famous voices. But we're just my son is also not that interested. He doesn't read that many comics. He read a little bit of One Piece. He likes this comic with these girls in tanks, but we don't really. He's never really been that much into it.
Well, he's still young. I think maybe it will come.
What percentage of the population there is into anime and manga?
I mean, it's got to be. I feel like there must be a lot of people where it's a secret hobby because there's a lot of people at these events, but I don't know how many people are like into it because it's like around, right? So it's on TV. It's like kids read the comics, but even my son, like in his class, he says people aren't like into it. He wouldn't say like, oh, he doesn't even want to talk to his friends about Shingeki. He's like, mommy, I kept your secret. So but even kids understand it's kind of like not a good hobby to advertise. You know what I mean?
That's the thing about Gintama that always gets me is Jintoki always has to get shown in Jump, and everyone sort of makes fun of him for it because he's a grown man still reading comics.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a thing. You see, and when I go to the comic every month, I see other people in line, other adults and other, and they might not look like fans, but they are. There's people buying it. Apparently a lot of people are buying it, so they're out there. Even though I don't know anybody in my regular life, there must be some people,
They just
right?
keep it on the down low. Like,
I think so.
but I can imagine like more people being casually into it.
I think so. I think for sure there's a lot of casual people.
I wish I was casual.
Yeah, yeah. I yeah. My son knows it's not a healthy hobby.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I love like the hashtag you have in your Tumblr, like attack on my wallet, because that's what it feels like whenever I watch your vlogs. Like, oh, it's so pretty, but so expensive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So was the Shingeki at Anime Japan, was the Shingeki display popular? Did it seem like it was, is it a big deal over there?
It looked like it. The booth was very crowded. There was like no point in the day where it wasn't crowded. There was people. It's hard to tell in pictures because everybody tries to get the uncrowded picture, but it was very hard to take photos because there were just so many people like crowding in. Like other popular booths, you see a lot of this Fate Grand something. I don't know what it is. It's called like Fate Grand something, Fate Grand Order or Fate Grand something. You see the one with the swords. There was a really cool booth for this show, the Madoka show. It had like this girl in like an upside down dress, which was beautiful, and they had like a live interview. So the booths themselves were really, really interesting. And but yeah, I would say Shingeki seemed popular.
Anything else on that one, Luna? I don't know if you wanted to ask about how the men were more neurotic or if we should better off dropping
Yeah,
that
I
one.
want to know what she means by neurotic, because usually it's women who are more neurotic than men, I think.
Women fans are kind of calm, and like the guy fans are like very like kind of twitchy and pushy, and it was just like really uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, guy, just like chill out. It's a diorama. Everyone's trying to enjoy,
Physically
you
trying
know.
to move their way through the crowd, like, I want to get
Yeah,
what
and
I
they
want.
also yeah, and they're also very unaware, more unaware of like how they're impacting the space around them. Like with that, if you're wearing a backpack and you're in a crowded area, it just makes sense to take it off. And it just seemed like the men seemed a bit more like not socially conscious in many ways. But that was just my experience. Maybe I just had a bad experience.
I'm going to say that I feel the same way. I go to a lot of anime cons in the United States, and I think it's kind of the same way. The women are,
Just say.
they seem more socially aware. Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Now, let's talk about the karaoke event. So I didn't even know about the karaoke event.
Yeah,
What
same.
did you sing? Tell me,
Okay.
help us out.
So I was supposed to go with my son to the karaoke event.
Mhm.
And then I saw that one spo had sold out overnight or something happened. Nothing was available on the website. So I'm like, no, we have to go to one spo now so we can get the folder.
Okay, let's clarify for people that don't know what One Spo is. That's the Tokyo Girls Collection.
There's a Tokyo Girls Collection event, and Tokyo Girls Collection is an event where they it's basically an event for fast fashion. So for young women and things that are like really quick trends that'll get switched out. And what's really great about Tokyo Girls Collection is that you go to the collection and you can buy all the clothes immediately. So it's not like a fashion show where you go and then you have to wait for it to be released later. So it really is fast fashion. And there was a Shingeki no Kyojin collaboration, and not all of it is that wearable. There's a skirt with a print with the characters on it, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, but it's not wearable. I can't. Where can I wear this?" But some of it was, and if you did phase one, you bought anything, you could get a clear folder with a mini poster inside. And then now there's phase two, which comes out on the 20th, where if you buy from that collection, you can get a tote bag, which I already pre-ordered. But my husband's such a good sport, you know. We got out in the morning. I'm like, we have to go now. And he called for a taxi. And
Wow.
yeah, Shibuya is not that close to my house. And so we went and we took a taxi and we made it before store open. And then everybody was at the entrance and we're like, but look, there's an elevator. So we were pressing the button and we called it as soon as the button started working. And then we went up and we went first to the store and we bought it. And then we had a family meeting and like a family get together. And then after that, we did karaoke. And so my son was supposed to go with us, but he had a sleepover, so he couldn't come. And my husband hates karaoke with like a deep passion.
Aww.
He absolutely can't stand it. And so we didn't sing.
What?
It was really awkward. We didn't sing.
Wait. Your husband went with you to the karaoke event, even though he hates karaoke, because you wanted to go?
Yes.
I love him. I already loved him because I was able to meet him in October, and yes. Wow. Okay. He's wonderful. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
He's so kind. So what we did was we ordered all the drinks at once, to get the little coasters, because it's always about the stupid coasters. Which when are you going to use the coasters? It doesn't make any
Never.
But
I have a drawer full of them.
Right. What do you do with them? Do you display them? No.
Oh, I do, but I don't have that many. So
yeah, you have like 3.
Yeah, so that's still fine. So
okay. So anyway,
we ordered all the drinks. We got Eren. That's all I cared about. And then,
wait, was it just you and your husband?
Yes.
And ordered all the drinks.
Although there was like 7 or 8 drinks, right?
There was 6 drinks.
Did you guys finish them all?
Almost.
And you didn't sing, either of you?
We played the music in the background. We entered the contest. And then, what's kind of interesting? Some of the songs don't have lyrics. And I'm like, what are you supposed to be singing to? And then in the middle of the song, there was like 1 or 2 lines in German. And I'm like, oh, okay. Just for this part.
Wow.
So bizarre. And then some of them had animation, and some of them had this weird video of like for example, for barricades, it was this random guy walking on a beach, and it was fun. We had a good time.
Now, was it crowded? Was it packed or no?
It was not packed.
So gauging event popularity, it was not as popular as like the Area Q Cafe.
No, and I kind of wonder that we went to was a special location because it kind of looks like one of the little houses in Shiganshina. Ours is called Resort, and I think the other ones are not called Resort. So I kind of want to check another one if we go again. And it wasn't crowded at all. But I think that maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they did the collaboration, to get people to come in, because it's a very tiny little venue.
And again, in the links, we will link to all of these events that you have attended so people can see your photographs and read your personal firsthand experience there. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, look in the links and we'll have some photographs there. So back to the Tokyo Girls collection, what items did you buy? I none of it, like I think I might have bought the scarf. I thought the scarf was really pretty. What did you buy?
Okay, the scarf is part of phase 2, so you should get the tote bag.
Oh, okay.
And that comes out on the 20th. I pre-ordered that because it was the cheapest thing and I didn't want to buy anymore.
Right.
I bought 2 tops. I bought the white Erwin top, which actually
the zipper sweater.
The zipper sweater, I like it zipped up, and it looks really nice, actually.
Wow, it looked awful on Erwin. It looked horrible on Erwin.
Yeah, right? So I was thinking, but it's the only thing that has the logo on it, but it's very subtle, and I'm like, oh, we can wear it to USJ or something.
They had it in white and black, right?
It had it in white and black. I thought the white looked more summery, which would be when you would wear it, but the black also looked really cool. And then I got the Eren top in the white as well.
I liked Eren's top. That I would wear. That was just kind of like a hoodie.
Yeah, but I actually think Erwin's is more wearable than the Eren one.
It just looked so freaky in the art. Like, we all were making fun of it. Like, here Erwin is wearing sweats and everyone else is all dressed up. He's wearing like his fancy sweatpants. He looked like a dad had gone into Hot Topic and
oh my gosh, it's
made some unfortunate choices.
I really loved Armin's skirt.
Yeah, that skirt was great. And I saw that one online. I actually really like it. I think it's one of those that you could get away with wearing.
I looked at the sizing and then it said free, which means like one size fits all. And I was like, well, I'm a bit taller than the average Japanese girl. Like, how much will it cover? I was wondering.
Maybe not that much.
Yeah, so it was like, for the price and with shipping and import tax, it's a bit too expensive. Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not for the big girls. We big girls. Yeah, we need to get the scarf.
You have to be really, really young to pull off the skirt. But it looks super cute.
It was. And I really liked Mikasa's top as well, like with the straps on it. But then it only came without the straps, I thought. Like I couldn't find it on the website.
Mikasa's the long skirt, right?
No, and the top. She had like a white top or a t-shirt, and then with the straps, the black straps.
The straps are attached to the skirt.
Oh. Okay.
So you would have to buy the skirt.
I don't want the skirt. I'm never going to wear that skirt in public, so.
Yeah, I wish they had kept the original design, which was like the wings of freedom, because that's a lot less noticeable than a bunch of cartoon characters on the front of your skirt.
The art of Levi, Levi with the off the shoulder jacket, like I just can't even, what the merchandising team does with Levi in every one of these just destroys me. Like, I think one of my friends, the joke was like, everyone is like, act natural, and Levi, tilts his hips and tucks his knee, and he just looks so flamboyant. It's ridiculous.
Every time with Levi.
Every time.
What's going on?
So what events are coming up with season 3? I know the manga is it in Roppongi? The manga exhibit is starting soon.
Yes.
And then Universal Japan has announced a new exhibit.
Yes.
And I want to come, so please, if I want to have a midlife crisis like this summer and run off to Japan. So
can you explain to our listeners why you particularly want to visit that exhibit?
Oh!
Because it's the last one. That's the only reason.
Okay.
No, I want to go to the manga exhibit. I want to go to the manga exhibit more than anything because I missed the last one, and the last one was out of this world. So I want to go to that in Roppongi. And then, the Universal Japan would be cool. It's not essential. It would be cool. Because there's a clonoid of Erwin that's going to be there.
They're having a private moment.
Yes. Yes, it's Erwin and Levi enjoying a private moment before the return to Shiganshina. They're going to do clonoids, which immediately both fascinates and horrifies me because the last clonoids were bad. Armin's especially was a nightmare. So if they make Erwin, I might have to come.
I
We'll
love
see.
it. Like, you're gonna see their private time, but like they're going to look completely deformed.
The clonoids are never good, ever. Levi's is okay. What do you think?
It's fine. Yeah, I did see it. I think it was okay. I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse.
Coffee, you were not a fan of the series the last time they did it, so you have not seen the clonoids in person, have you?
No, and we were at USJ during the Shingeki event, and we're like, let's do Godzilla. So we did Godzilla instead, which now I'm really sad about.
The merchandise at the last USJ event was great.
It was great. I went shopping for a friend, and I did not buy anything for it because we were totally not into it at the time. And I'm like, what? Who are these characters? Which character does the person like? Because they were character specific. And I ended up getting her like some USJ, like just like with the logo, like a clipboard and some pens and stuff. But yeah, the merch, now thinking back, looked really great. And I wish I had gone shopping at that time. And now I'm preparing my wallet for this time.
I have to figure out a way to be there. 5 years I have earned seeing the last exhibit and seeing Erwin Clonoid, unless it's horrifying.
I don't want pictures, I want videos, okay? If you guys end up doing that.
No, you're coming.
I'll come next year. I want to go to like the Marley Anime Cafe.
You could catch the cafe too.
But she wants the Marley characters. She's going to wait till next season.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's Team Marley.
Then maybe like there's also the Olympics going on.
Yeah.
And I could go to Tokyo Disney.
You could.
And I really like karaoke, just so you know.
You know what? My son loves karaoke. Be in charge of that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll babysit him.
All right. Shall we move into the Anons?
Okay. So, Coffee, on Tumblr, we got an Anon asking you, well, first of all, to thank you for sharing your adventures. And Anon would like to know what spots or stores they shouldn't miss in Tokyo if they are looking for the best SNK merchandise, figures especially, and they'll be going to Tokyo in November.
Okay, so one of the things I would recommend if you like Shingeki is to go to Ikebukuro because that has the most merch. And it's also the most reasonably priced merch, I find. So, of course, Animate is the main store. And so they have a lot of Shingeki goods. And that's where they also do all the events. So there's like a Wit Studios event. It'll be at that store. And then, okay, so there's this place called K-Books. But there's many, 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 many little shops of K-Books. And they move the Shingeki stuff around. And yeah.
That's what surprised me about K-Books. It's not one location. They're like 5 of them, and they're all within the same block. And you don't know which one to go into, so you have to go into all of them.
There's a map. And it'll tell you
oh my God.
which store is which. And we actually went this week, and so we saw these girls looking at the map, and I'm like, I wonder why they're like looking at the map so hard. And then we went into the store where Shingeki usually is, which was K-Books Select, and it wasn't there. They're like, oh no, what do we do? And so we asked the staff, and they're like, oh, it's at this one. It's at the Anime Con. And we're like, okay. And then we had to go look at the map too. And then we found it, and it was on the second floor of that building. So the first floor is like historical stuff, and then the second floor was general. So if you go to K-Books, there'll be a map. Ask them what building it's in. Right now it's in the Anime Con, but it can change. So watch out for that. But that has the most stuff.
K-Books is stuff people have collected themselves and are reselling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They're all resale, but they're good as new. And if they're not, they'll mark it on the packaging, like if it's scratched or something.
I have a lot of like secondhand stuff from Japan, and it's all like, it looks brand new.
So Animate is new merchandise. K-Books is for older merchandise. And I was surprised, like most of it was very affordable, but some of the stuff was like super expensive, I guess, depending on rarity. But yeah, K-Books is amazing.
It's like a wonderland. And the figures are pretty good. I've seen Figmas there for around 5,000 yen, so like $50 ish. So it's really, really great. Another place in Ikebukuro, it's called Animega. And there's also a location in Shinjuku, and they're the ones that are doing the party event right now. And they also have goods that are original to that store as well. And those are new goods. Then everybody wants to go to Akihabara, but the problem with Akihabara is that it's so tourist centric. So I would avoid anything that's open on the main street because the prices there are ridiculous. I've seen figures going for like 3 times the price on the resale market or 4 times the price on the resale market, and it's insane. The prices in Ryokan is really good. Those are pretty good, and those are also resell in the what's the store name? There's only one store right now that sells Shingeki, so ask for Shingeki and they'll tell you what floor it's on. And then there's a store called Liberty, and on the second story, they also have very good prices. And it's a little tiny shop, and that's right next to Ryokan. And then Suru, so like there's like a really big store chain called Suru Gaya, and that store, most of the stores were overpriced, but the main store, the brand new building, we found really, really good deals. We found a Kotobukiya figure of Eren for, I think it was like 140 or something like that. And usually they're much more. And it was complete, unopened, had all the pieces. Like my husband even like asked them to check because a lot of them are missing the little swords and stuff, had everything. So that's a really good shop. And then for figures, also you could try Nakano Broadway, which is also resale. And I would know the prices ahead of time, like to see what they're going for online as the resale prices, and go from there. And that's like a mix of the different prices. But you have to spend a lot of time there because there's so many little shops.
Do they have like a good selection of figures, or is it only certain characters they have a lot of figures of?
It's a mix. So you even see characters like Mike sometimes. Like I took a picture of a Mike figure that I saw the other day. So it depends. What I noticed is with goods, it seems like they come out in waves. So you'll see like one thing come out, like I guess because the USJ event is starting soon, so you'll start like a wave of USJ things coming out, or you'll see like certain like gotcha boxes, those figures from the gotcha boxes come out in waves as well. So you just have to kind of like keep an eye out. But there's a pretty good mix of characters. A lot of Mikasa, of course, Eren and Levi. But you'll see different characters. I've seen Annie around, which is kind of rare. So you just have to really it's like a treasure hunt.
So that kind of leads in. Vairre, of course, our good friend Vairre sent us a crazy mishmash of questions right now, but one of hers, I'll just break them apart because there's so many, was which character has the best merchandise? The main cast is all getting good merchandise, but is there any character that you would think gets like the gold star treatment when it comes to merch?
I think the most fun character is the Colossal Titan.
Still okay.
Because that's always like the funny merch, right? So like back when they had the Tokyo Tower event, they had
Mm.
like the meat sticks, which was making up his face through the packaging. That his goods always tend to be really funny, you know. So whenever there's something like that, or when they do krill figures, like for the collaboration, like the restaurant collaboration, you'll see him like creeping over like the restaurant or something. So that his is always fun. But you know, Eren, Erwin, Levi, I think always have the most merch and probably the best merch. Mikasa too. Mikasa gets some love. We've seen a little bit of Historia, but there's very little merch with her.
Something else Vairre asked on the same topic is how does seeing commercials with Levi selling cleaning products impact your life? He also gets fun merchandise when you consider the that aspect.
You know, the thing is, you don't see the commercials though. Like I knew about it because it was online, and I went to the website. And if you follow the Attack Twitter, which I don't think a lot of people do, the detergent company, you'll see it on Twitter. But there, it wasn't on TV, and I saw it in Bisatsu magazine, I think. But you don't really see it anywhere unless you know it's there.
So when they did crossovers with like 7-Eleven, that's been a long, I think they did a crossover with 7-Eleven. It's it's not necessarily something you're aware of unless you happen into the store and see it.
Exactly. If you're following
You
it,
stumble upon it.
Yeah, you'll stumble upon it if you don't know what's happening. If you follow the comic and you every month you'll see the advertisement. But like for example, I go into 7-Eleven all the time and then there'll be like certain show collaborations like I've seen like Yuri on Ice or what is it, Love Live or Sailor Moon or something like that. And it'll be there like in the candy section. And if you're a fan, you know about it and specifically to buy it. But if you're not a fan, you'll end up seeing it. And maybe if you're buying candy anyway, like, wow, I might as well take a clear file because I can use it for something. Maybe. And you might pick one up by chance. But I think the people that are following it know it's there. There's not like any, at least for this, like the last Lawson event, there was no big banners or anything. It was like these tiny little marks near the candy and stuff like that.
While we're on Vairre's Ask, let's go ahead and ask this other one. She wanted to know how Erwin would feel in a typical Japanese house. Are they as small as people say? And I know you actually did some measurements on this. How would Erwin, what is he, 6'2"?
He's 6'2", 188 centimeters.
And how would that work in a typical Japanese home?
In a typical Japanese home, I think he might be a little uncomfortable. Doors tend to be about 6'5" ish. So that would give him a little bit of leeway, right? And then the ceiling is maybe on average about 7'2". So he'd feel comfortable like walking around. Probably the doorways might feel a little cramped. Our apartment in particular has pretty high ceilings. So he would probably be okay in our apartment.
So let me just scan Vairre's Ask and see if there was anything else. She did ask some serious questions, but I'm going to skip the serious ones. Luna, what color suits Reiner the best?
I knew you were going to ask that. I thought about this and I'm like, do I go with my preferred color of choice, which is like a deep burgundy? Like I love deep burgundy, like on men, like especially like with turtlenecks. I don't know. That's something that I really enjoy, but would it look good on him? I don't know. In my fantasies, yes, but in reality, I'm not sure.
Coffee, what color would you reserve for Eren if you had to choose?
Oh, we can only choose one color?
One color.
Black. I liked him wearing black in the last season.
I did too. On Twitter, our friend Polka from Andrew All-Star server wanted us to do a quick fire round. So it's who's better. I will be the announcer, and I'll call out two sets of people, and there's no thinking about it. Okay, you ready?
No.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Who's better, Eren or Armin?
Eren.
Eren.
I like Armin. Okay. Jean or Connie?
Jean.
John.
Okay, I agree. Who's better, Flock or Yelena?
Yelena.
Porco or Colt?
Colt.
Porco.
Magath or Pixis?
Magath.
Pixis. Okay, last one. I don't think there'll be any question here. Who's better, Zeke or Reiner?
Reiner.
Zeke?
Are you serious?
Sorry. I'm serious.
And we're at the end of the podcast, so we can't kick you out. It's done. Seriously? You like Zeke better than Reiner?
I don't. Okay, so it's...
Our trip is over. Forget it.
Wait, I cut out. I missed it. What? What? What?
I expect Polka will be happy with your answer. I think he loves Reiner too, but you know, the guys all love Zeke.
What is going on here?
Okay, so if I had to pick one to be my best friend, I would pick Reiner. But I think Zeke is the thing is, in a way, they're both very close, right? They both were raised kind of like in the similar environment, and they killed a bunch of people, and I guess Reiner's the better person because he regrets it, I don't think Zeke regrets it. But Zeke is I just find him very interesting.
I'm shaking my head. I know you can't hear it, but I'm shaking my head.
No!
Are you betrayed, Luna?
Very much so.
Yeah. Reiner's best boy. I mean,
you have to bribe me now. Coffee.
Reiner's a sweetheart. I love Reiner. I want Reiner to live more than Zeke. Does that help?
Not really.
Oh,
Kind of, but not really.
So, Coffee, we have enjoyed hearing about your adventures in Japan so much, and you've also generously offered to do a giveaway with our listeners this month. And basically, whomever is subscribed to us on Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, we're going to do a drawing. Would you remind us again what the prize is called?
So it's like a capsule machine, and the characters are little acrylic stands. They actually have a little hole at the top of their head. So if you want to put a strap or something, you can, but it doesn't come with one. And then the characters, you can see what they're thinking inside their head. There's like a little thought bubble.
And we'll include a picture of those. So basically, for anyone who is subscribed to us, we'll do a randomized drawing, and we will send one out to them. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. That's incredibly kind of you. But having met you, know that you're an incredibly kind person, very generous and kind. So, and we appreciate you. What time is it for you now? Like 1 a.m.?
Oh, yeah, it is.
We appreciate you being on the other side of the world and still joining us for this podcast, because with the time difference, I know this has been, nobody listening to you would know that it's 1 a.m.
I took a low-carb energy drink, so.
Is that your secret?
That's my secret. And coffee. And Eren's abs.
And Eren's, which you get every month. You get a dose every single month.
Just high on Eren's abs. Keeps you going forever. Well, thank you for offering to sponsor a giveaway for us. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure our listeners will do too.
If you'd like to support our podcast, if you enjoy listening to it, we have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. I'd like to take this moment to thank Kenny H. for sponsoring us. We really appreciate it. And also you can support us by talking about it, tweeting about it, letting other people know about our podcast.
As always, thank you for offering your hearts and your ears, and see you next month. Bye.
Bye. Coffee.
Oh, I get to say bye too. Bye.
Boy, Google's being slow. In case we ask the question about whether or not Eren, let me find it. This month we asked, it seemed to confirm that Eren knew about the wine plot. Are you surprised? 85.5% said no, but they are all liars, because Chapter 111 poll, we asked, do you think Eren is aware of the spiked wine? Only 25% said yes. So we're talking 4 months.
Receipts! Oh, that's brilliant.
We got to bring that up. All right, let's get going. I'm excited.
Okay. Let's go.